Welcome to Words on Air. I'm your host, Lindsay Smith. My guest today is Allison Hedge. She is the author of 6 poetry collections, a memoir, and several anthologies of Indigenous writing. At the moment, she's hard at work on an oral history film called Red Dust: Resiliency in the Dirty 30s, which explores the experiences of Native American Dust Bowl survivors. Welcome. Thanks for being on the show with us.
Thank you for having me, Lindsay.
You have such a compelling connection to Oklahoma, though you've lived all over the Americas by this point. Why do you keep finding your way back here?
Yeah, well, really through my father. I mean, his ties here are so deep, and I grew up with all those stories. When I came here to teach, it was to work with him, and he was in his last years, and we rewalked his life. And it's an impressive landscape. The people, so diverse. I think the presence of Oklahoma is something that stays with you, even when you're miles and miles away. It's a beautiful place, and there's a lot of things to be done. Yeah.
Well, you have a book called Streaming, a book of poems, and in this you have a series of poems about Oklahoma, including a couple of poems about the 2013 Moore tornado.
Yeah.
So I wanted to invite you to read those.
Sure. Let's do, this is Weather Band, FM/AM, 2013, Moore, Oklahoma. After a while, you can't hear it anymore. Switch to something more melodic, shift to something heart and soul. 92.1, 1140 KRMP, Cowboys of Color Radio. It soothes you. Wind blown when the teacher of the month comes, grade school, disciples, shield. Fix your life up. Fix your life up.
Tell us about the connection with Cowboys of Color Rodeo.
On Heart and Soul Radio in Oklahoma City, during the Cowboys of Color rodeo season, they will broadcast the advertisements all the time. It's a great event if you haven't been. When I was a kid, I rode for Will Rogers Range Riders Rodeo and the children's division of that, and we went to rodeos all over the place and did trick rides and had lots of fun as a kid. And Indians are always the best cowboys, as they say. My dad's father, Vaughn, worked for a while on the Goodnight Ranch back in the day. In his day, he was born in 1878, and worked with a cowboy named Bones Hooks. So in the family, we've got a lot of history working with Cowboys of Color, and that impacted me during the tornado. People were taking cover and we don't know what's going on, and a lot of devastation, the children killed, and oftentimes you're flipping through channels trying to get up on the news, but also trying to find some reprieve. It's certain songs come on, certain advertisements, and then you flip over to Weather Band if you have it. And it's just a way of sort of getting through that moment and keeping abreast of things, and just thinking about an event ahead like that, can give you a little bit of hope.
Your other poem about the tornado includes music as well. Why don't you read that for us too?
This one is Twisting the Night Away. I mean, that's really what I do during the tornadoes. I just turn on the radio and wait it out, like many other people here. So Twisting the Night Away. How that man in evening clothes got here, well, feel much better. Sometimes dancing's all we got. Sometimes move with it, we rock. Sometimes take off and see him go. Just like any other show, when that wind comes, oldest queen, don't you know just where we'll be? Down with red dirt, deep deuce way. Feel much better. Twistin', twistin', twistin' the night away. Yeah.
Thank you. I feel like singing now.
Oh, yeah, good.
In that same collection, you address the Dust Bowl, which is, of course, the subject of your documentary as well. Why don't you read that for us?
Okay, let's pull that one up. This is Then. It's a little longer. It's really my dad's voice, this poem. Okay. Black blizzard, hundreds of thousands of years to create the topsoil, red from Oklahoma, Texas gray, brown Nebraska, The animals sensed it coming before the people. Chickens went to the coop and stayed there. The animals ran unsensibly, unreasonably. Clouds of dust made human figures in the wind. Could be an hour or minutes to arrive. The people fastened wires to the house to follow back. You could be blown away. Visibility no more than a few feet. The massive dusters, some for days during school hours, 10 years of this. Silt on everything, families daily digging out, every surface in the house coated, dust in food before it could be eaten, still eaten, field dirt with the food. Covering the windows and doors with cloth, sheets, paste, the air thickened and dimmed. Cloth to face felt awful, suffocating. Dust, pneumonia, took the children. Radiation, dry heat transfer. Kansas mercury 121. Insects seeking moisture, shade, centipedes. We had to shake out our shoes, sheets, swarms, grasshoppers, gophers, birds gone from dust, nothing to eat them, the jackrabbits multiplying, badgers and coyotes gone. 10,000 took part in a rabbit drive north. 35,000 jacks caught in a pen, they clubbed them to death to kill them. Men killing them, rabbits screaming, while static electricity from friction took lives, sparked everywhere. Plain sand, charged metal, and blue flames, ball lightning. Some safety wires lined to find the houses are charged up with static and knocked people out. The livestock ran in circles, lungs filled with dust, dead. The only water 100 feet below. Sears and Roebuck sold windmill kits to fix it up. Dad 10. People ate tumbleweeds then.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So many filmmakers and writers have written about the Dust Bowl in Oklahoma. What do you want to say about that time that's different?
Yeah, we grew up with this as primary education. It was my dad's days, and they were in the midst of it. They were just west of Boise City when it broke out, and then into Baca County in eastern Colorado, and back and forth in there, and that was the heat of it was in there. And so we grew up with those stories, and a lot of people covering it are very careful about who they select to tell the story. And there are tons of mixed blood people in the state. There's tons of, enrolled citizens and tribes in the states. There's African American people. There were Asian people, all through the state at the time. And we don't have those stories present in telling the Dust Bowl. Not in a major media sort of way. There's some archived recordings up at Cheyenne at the Washita battlefield, etc., but they're not really in public purvey. My dad had a lot of complaints about this and noted that he knew the people that they interviewed on almost everything he ever saw, and he goes, why don't they talk to us? My mom passed, and he said, you got anything for me to do, kid? We got to do it now. And I said, how about that film? So we started shooting, and I've been working with a phenomenal director of photography, cinematographer who lives here in Tulsa, Shane Brown, who's just brilliant. My crew has included James Payne and Royce Sharp, and I've had Jeffrey Palmer on there as well, and several other people that have helped out along the way. And so we've been shooting for a while and interviewing people on several reservations across the state, and we walked my dad through the last few years of his life during the shoot, and traveled that route that they took, Oklahoma, eastern Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, back to Oklahoma. And we even went out to California and followed some of that diaspora that went out there as well, including people from Tahlequah who ended up out there and were photographed by Dorothy Lang, but she did not note that they were Cherokee. And it's important to me to rename that face and to dig a little deeper into the story. Not the sensationalized version, but focus on that coping. And even through the Depression and people having been relocated, there's some serious stories there, resiliency and just beautiful lives and beautiful people. And it's been our honor to interview so many people. Here in Tulsa, we interviewed Glenn McGuire, who's the oldest Pawnee. I think he's 97 now. He fought in the same battles of World War II as my dad, and he's the poet laureate of the Pawnee Nation. And I just meet these wonderful, fascinating people who live through this. And Yeah.
So collaboration is a big part of your work.
Yeah, definitely.
And, your recent book of poems, Burn, features the artwork of a Chickasaw artist.
Yeah,
Tell us a little about that.
Beautiful, beautiful book, and he created the pieces in the book to go with the poem. It's a very long poem that I wrote during the fires in 2011 that really permeated the South and Southwest, all the way from Tucson, Arizona, into Texas. Was just a flame, you know, and I was there, and I was writing at the time, and there were fires in Oklahoma as well. The drought was just at its height, and
speaking of Dust Bowl,
yeah,
we've had some drought in recent years as well.
Led me into it.
Yeah.
So this book is illustrated by Dustin Mader, who's the national artist for Chickasaw Nation, and there's also a Easter egg download of an album I recorded with Laura Ortman and Kelvin Bell. So it comes with illustrations and music. Yeah, so got poetry, got everything in a package there. So yeah, I do love collaboration.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And speaking of collaboration, you have a poem called America, I Sing You Back, also in the streaming collection. And that poem you dedicate to some family members, but also to Walt Whitman and Langston Hughes. Yeah,
you know, you grow up reading pieces that are classic American literature, you know, both from Whitman era and also Harlem Renaissance, and they take hold of you, and at some point in time your own voice wants to enter that conversation. Should I read it? Do we have time?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay, so it is dedicated to Phil Young, who's another Oklahoman, and my father, Robert Hedge, and for Whitman and Hughes. This is America, I Sing You Back. America, I sing you back what sung you in. I sing back the moment that you cherish breath. Sing you home into yourself and back to reason. Before America began to sing, I sang her to sleep. I held her cradle board and wept her into day. My song gave her creation, prepared her delivery, held her severed cord beautifully beaded. My song helped her stand, held her hand for the first steps and nourished her very being, fed her, placed her three sisters strong. My song comforted her as she battled my reason, broke my long-held footing sure, as any child might do. As she pushed herself away and forced me to remove myself, as I cried this country, my song grew roses in each tear's fall. My blood-veined rivers painted pipestone quarries, circled canyons, while she made herself maiden fine. But here I am. Here I am, here I remain high on each and every peak, carefully rumbling her great underbelly, prepared to pour forth, singing. And sing again I will, as I have always done, never silenced unless in the company of strangers, singing, the stoic face, polite, repose, polite, while dancing deep inside, polite, mother of her world, sister of myself. And when my song sings loud again, when I call her back to cradle, call her to peer into waters, to behold herself in dark and light, day and night, call her to sing along, call her to mature, to envision. Then she will quake herself over. My song will make it so. And when she grows far past her self-considered purpose, I will sing her back. Sing her back, I will sing, oh I will, I do. America, I sing back what sung you in.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Time to start singing, America. Allison Hedge, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
And thank you for your work.
Thank you.
And we'll look forward to seeing you again in Oklahoma your next trip back.
That's great. Thank you so much. And yeah, I appreciate it and appreciate being here very much. Hi to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.